It's strange sometimes as human beings when we can see what's coming. People have warned us. We're walking on the road to doing the thing, and even with all the warnings and all the thoughts in our minds, we just somehow do it anyway. It is a mystery to me, but it's a mystery about my own life as well as all the other lives that I have observed in my time. So, Matthew chapter 26 is all about Jesus' anguish. It's just that it's one kind of anguish after another. All the disciples have fled. He's taken off to begin his many trials. But the focus goes for a moment on to Peter, who has made this massive promise based out of misunderstanding. He thinks that he can somehow protect Jesus from the very thing that Jesus knows he needs to do. And having made a massive promise, Jesus has been straight with them. You're going to really mess up. Before the cock crows to show that it's a new day, 3 times you're going to say you don't even know me. And that's what he does. A servant girl comes up to him as Peter is kind of following him from a distance, trying to work out where they're taking Jesus. He's ended up in the temple courtyard at night, and there are lots of people around, probably standing around fires and making themselves late night things to eat and trying to find some place to sleep and so on. And a servant girl comes up to him and said, "Weren't you one of the ones with Jesus of Nazareth?" And he politely says, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." Another servant girl sees him and says, "This fellow is definitely from Nazareth." And he denies it, but this time with an oath. He's saying, no, it really isn't true. I really wasn't with him. He goes a little further, and this time it's a group of people who come up to him and say, "Well, your accent gives you away. We know you're from Galilee, maybe from Nazareth." And now Peter has to really be adamant. As they say, "Surely you're one of them. Your accent is giving you away." He begins to call down curses, and he swears at them and says, "I don't know the man." And at that very moment, the cock crows, and Peter remembers what Jesus says. And he says, he went out and he wept bitterly. We see it coming, we do it, and then we end up with that terrible feeling of regret. How could I have ended up doing exactly what he told me I was going to do? How could I have made such a mess of things? Peter's thinking. And actually his reaction is not a bad one. To go away and acknowledge what you've done and just weep, showing how sorry and repentant you truly are, is in the end the best thing to do, with knowing that you've just really messed up and got everything wrong when you'd been warned about it and you've done it anyway. What we often do with regrets is we then go back and try to put things right. And in one sense, there isn't anything wrong with that, except that there are many things which cannot be undone. I used to talk to people about the difference between the sins we commit that hurt people that cannot be undone and those that could be redeemed or made up for. If you steal something from somebody, you can give it back, for instance. And the number of people that I've spoken to where the problem is that there is nothing to go back and to fix. I have realised that that is a false difference. Everything that we do that is sinful hurts us, it hurts God, and it hurts other people. And what you can't take back is the actual thing you've done. You can take back something you've stolen from somebody, but the fact that you've stolen it can never be taken away. And the lack of trust and respect that might bring, well, that's a hard thing. There's always an effect of what we do. That's why God doesn't want us to get things wrong. And regret can also make us do what Peter ends up doing, thinking that it's all over now. I made a mess of things. There's no going back. It was good while it lasted, but I was always going to make a mess of things, and now I'm going to walk off, which is what, in my mind, he does when he says in a few chapters' time at the end of John's Gospel, I'm going fishing. Anybody want to come with me? I'm going back to the old life because clearly I cannot do the things that Jesus spoke about, because look what I did when I made a huge promise and couldn't keep it. If regret leads us to turn back to Jesus, get back on that path following the Good Shepherd, listen to his voice and learn something from it, then it can be a good thing. The symbol of the cock crowing can either be the moment where you walk away, the moment where you give up, or it might be the moment where you learn something. In Peter's case, it was as much about learning what to promise, making a promise that you can keep. That was the thing. All of the things in his heart that he wanted to do, most of them had the right motivation, but he'd misunderstood what Jesus had come to do. He'd misunderstood what his role in it was, and he'd misunderstood how much he could promise. All of that changes later in Peter's life. But there is that horrible sinking heart feeling in the moment where you open your eyes and you think, oh, what have I done? And you go out and you weep bitterly. We've all been there. We can't take back what we have done. What we can do is do the right thing for the future. Turn back to God. Hear his wonderful forgiveness and grace and mercy. Receive his forgiveness and leave aside the regrets, and don't live in guilt and shame. Instead, let him make something good out of even the thing that you did wrong by allowing him to transform you, by coming to him, truly saying, I am sorry, I don't want to change.